Have you ever noticed the seven subtle behaviors of the quiet wealth? Those tiny signals that separate people who actually have money from people who just want you to think they do? Picture this. You're sitting across from someone at dinner, maybe a friend of a friend, and nothing about them screams rich. No flashy watch, no designer logo you can spot from across the table, no humble brag about their new car. But something about the way they carry themselves just hits different. There's a gravity to them, a weight. And you can't quite explain it, but you walk away thinking, that person has money they'll never talk about. Meanwhile, somebody else at that same table won't stop mentioning how their portfolio is up this quarter. And here's the thing. By the end of this conversation, you're going to understand exactly why one of those people is actually wealthy and the other one is performing wealth like it's community theater. Because quiet wealth isn't about what you own. It's about seven subtle behaviors that cost absolutely nothing, but change how the entire world responds to you. And the last one is the behavior most people will never develop because it requires something money genuinely cannot buy. Let's start with the one that sets the foundation for everything else. Calm confidence. Not the confidence you rehearse in the mirror before a job interview. Not the confidence that comes from wearing a new outfit. I'm talking about the kind of confidence that doesn't need a single external prop to function. You've seen this person before. They walk into a room and they don't scan it for approval. They don't adjust their posture because someone important showed up. They don't laugh louder than necessary at someone's joke just to be liked. They just exist comfortably in their own skin, like they've already been approved by the only person whose opinion matters, which is themselves. And here's why this signals wealth. When your financial life is handled, when you're not quietly panicking about rent or pretending your credit card balance doesn't exist, your nervous system relaxes. You stop performing. You stop trying to prove things to strangers. The energy shifts from please accept me to I'm fine either way, and people feel that immediately, even if they can't name it. The second behavior is precision in speech. Quietly wealthy people don't ramble. They don't fill dead air with nervous words. They don't say honestly and literally 6 times in a single sentence. When they talk, there's a cleanness to it. Short thoughts, clear delivery, no verbal clutter. And this isn't because they went to some fancy communication school. It's because they think before they speak. Most people talk to fill space. Quietly wealthy people talk to communicate. There's a massive difference. One is driven by anxiety, the other is driven by intention. And when you hear someone speak with that kind of precision, your brain automatically assigns them more credibility, more authority, more status. Not because of what they said, but because of how little they wasted getting there. Third behavior. Their clothing tells you nothing and everything at the same time. No logos, no visible brand names. No outfit that screams, look at me. Just clean, simple, well-fitting pieces that seem almost boring until you touch the fabric. Quietly wealthy people treat clothing like tools, not costumes. They'll wear the same navy coat for 8 years because it fits perfectly and it's made from materials that actually last. They don't chase trends because trends are designed to make you spend money replacing things that still work. Think about that for a second. The entire fashion cycle exists to convince you that what you bought 5 months ago is now outdated. Quietly wealthy people opted out of that game a long time ago. They buy quality once and they move on with their lives. Fourth, and this one is subtle but incredibly powerful, they never rush. Not physically, not conversationally, not emotionally. There's a pace to quietly wealthy people that feels almost deliberate. They walk at a normal speed through an airport even when the gate is far. They don't talk at double speed to cram more words into the conversation. They don't panic when something goes sideways, and the reason is actually financial at its root. When you have resources, you build margin into your life. You leave early, you plan ahead. You don't overbook yourself into chaos. Rushing is what happens when your life is controlling you instead of the other way around. And everyone around you can feel the difference. Fifth behavior. They never talk about money. Ever. Not their income, not their investments, not their net worth. Not even vague hints about how things have been going really well lately. The quietly wealthy treat money talk the way most people treat medical details. It's private, it's personal. And bringing it up in casual conversation is considered genuinely tasteless. Meanwhile, people who are insecure about money can't stop referencing it. Every conversation somehow circles back to what things cost, what they're earning, what they're buying next. That constant signaling is the opposite of wealth energy. It's proof that money still controls their identity instead of just being a quiet tool in the background. Sixth, their boundaries are almost invisible but absolutely unbreakable. They don't overshare. They don't trauma dump on acquaintances. They don't hand out personal details like free samples at the grocery store. There's a warmth to them, sure, but also a clear line. You sense it without them ever saying, "That's too personal." They just redirect the conversation with such smoothness, you don't even realize it happened. And here's the mechanism behind this. When you're financially secure, you don't need people to validate your life. You don't need strangers to understand your story. You don't need to trade vulnerability for connection because your sense of self isn't up for negotiation. That creates a natural boundary that most people can't fake because it requires genuine inner stability to maintain. And now the seventh behavior, the one I said most people will never develop. Emotional regulation during chaos. This is the real flex, not the car, not the house, not the portfolio. The ability to stay calm when everything around you is falling apart. Quietly wealthy people don't explode when plans change. They don't spiral when the market drops. They don't raise their voice at a service worker over a minor mistake. They just adjust, calmly, clearly, without drama. And the reason this is so rare is because it's not a skill you can buy. You can buy a nice watch tomorrow. You can buy a tailored jacket this weekend. But emotional regulation is built over years of self-awareness, discipline, and usually some hard lessons that forced you to grow up. It's the ultimate status signal because it can't be faked and it can't be purchased. When someone stays composed while everyone else is reacting, you instinctively trust them more, you respect them more. You follow their lead without even thinking about it. So here's the real takeaway from all 7 of these subtle behaviors of the quiet wealth. None of them require a single dollar. Calm confidence, precise speech, understated clothing, an unrushed pace, silence about money, clean boundaries, emotional composure. Every single one is free, and yet together they create a presence that money alone could never manufacture. Because here's the truth most people don't want to hear. You can have $10 million in the bank and still carry yourself like someone who's terrified the world will find out they're not enough. And you can have a modest income and walk through life with the kind of quiet power that makes people assume you're the most important person in the room. Quiet wealth isn't what you show. It's what you don't need to show. And once you understand that distinction, everything about how you carry yourself, how people respond to you, and how you move through the world starts to shift in ways that no paycheck could ever create.